Thank you, Johnny. Hi, folks, and welcome.
This is Jeopardy!
Welcome to Jeopardy, everyone.
This is Jeopardy! Today's contestant is... Player One.
Yeah.
And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Thank you, Johnny. Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard. You look eager to get underway, so let's get right into it. And we have one daily double awaiting you in these categories. Countries by newspaper. Historic London. In the bookstore. Flowers. From screen to stage. And everyday Italian. Okay, let's get back into this. Player One, you make the next selection as we continue. You can visit several of these historic structures like Kensington and Buckingham. It's Player One. Use the Wii remote or press the corresponding direction on the... Yes. You again, Player One. Regent's Park was a hunting ground for this 16th century king who never hunted without tiring 8 or 10 horses. We're talking about Henry VIII. Player One, pick again. Famous men who orated at Hyde Park's Speaker's Corner include Friedrich Engels and this 1848 Engels co-author. Here's the response we were looking for. Karl Marx. Player One, back to you for our next selection. Arthur Wellesley, the first Duke of this, was known as a soldier, but had an eye for art, as you can see at Apsley House. Here's what we wanted. Wellington. Select again. According to Shakespeare, these conflicts began with a confrontation in the Temple Gardens. Here's the correct response. The Wars of the Roses. Please pick again, Player One. X marks the spot where the musical, inspired by this Olivia Newton-John film about a roller disco, rolled onto Broadway. Here's the correct response. Xanadu. Player One, back to you. The musical Here's Love was based on this 1947 film in which the real Kris Kringle is hired to work at Macy's. The correct response is Miracle on 34th Street. Player One, you pick again, please. A handful of actors play more than 100 roles in The 39 Steps, based on this director's 1935 suspense classic. Here's what we wanted. Alfred Hitchcock. We return to you, Player One. A Wonderful Life is a charming musical adaptation of this director's classic film, It's a Wonderful Life. Yes, Player One. That is correct. Choose again, Player One. In the musical Legally Blonde, blonde ambition takes Elle Woods all the way to this university's law school. We're talking about Harvard. Player One, back to you for our next selection. The Teammates by David Halberstam chronicles the friendships of Ted Williams and others on this team. The correct response is the Boston Red Sox. Please pick again, Player One. John Grisham switched gears with Skipping This Holiday, about a couple who want to skip the consumerism. Okay, Player One. That's right. Way to go. Choose again, Player One. The Devil in the White City examines murder, magic, and madness at the 1893 World's Fair in this U.S. city. Here's the correct response. Chicago. We return to you, Player One. In a Stephen King book, writer Paul Sheldon is weary of this title heroine he created. Here's the correct response. Misery. Player One, back to you. Appropriately, Part 3 of this 1953 novel is Burning Bright. Here's the response we were looking for. Fahrenheit 451. You again, Player One. Holding reserves through winter, these globular underground buds let flowers like narcissus bloom early. Let's hear it, Player One. Right. You get to pick again, Player One. This large group of flowering plants attracts serious devotees like those who pay $10,000 for one Peruvian plant. Here's what we were looking for. Orchids. Player One, pick again. This Mayflower of the buttercup family has a C version too. Player One. That's not it. Here's the correct response. The anemone. Select again. A bouquet of a dozen cinquefoils ought to have a total of this many petals. The correct response is 60. Player One, you pick again, please. L. vulgare is the oxide type of this common flower. Here's what we were looking for. The daisy. Select again. Formaggio is this dairy product. Yes, Player One. Nope. Here's the correct response. Cheese. Player One, you pick again, please. This food staple is pane. Let's hear it, Player One. Yeah. Good for you. Choose again, Player One. This body part is il piede. Here's the response we were looking for. A foot. Player One, back to you. This quadruped is un cavallo. Here's what we wanted. A horse. We return to you, Player One. This day of the week is martedì. We're talking about Tuesday. Player One, back to you for our next selection. The Sydney Morning Herald, the Queensland Independent. It's Player One. Right. You again, player one. The Shizuoka Shimbun. The Nikkan Ubejiho. Okay, player one. Good. Please pick again, player one. Avanti, il messaggero. Yes, player one. Sorry. Here's the response we were looking for. Italy. You get to pick again, player one. It's the Daily Double. You are in the lead right now. What'll it be? The clue. Haaretz Ma'ariv. Sorry, that's wrong. The correct response is Israel. Here's the $1,000 clue for you. Jyllands-Posten, Politiken. Here's the correct response. Denmark. The Double Jeopardy round will begin right after this. We start the Double Jeopardy categories with this one. The Body Human. Retronyms. 1960s TV. Presidential Alma Maters. Key to the City. And Shakespeare's Characters. All right, if you're ready, it's Double Jeopardy time. This pigment in blood transports oxygen. Let's hear it, player one. Correct. Player one, pick again. Microscopic shaggy hairs called villi line the walls of this digestive organ. It's player one. No, sorry. Here's what we were looking for. The small intestine. Select again. In the arm, the name of this muscle precedes brachii. In the leg, femoris. We're talking about the biceps. Player one, back to you for our next selection. The human brain has billions of connections across these gaps between neurons. Okay, player one. That's it. Player one, you pick again, please. Answer, the first of the Daily Doubles. And you have the lead. How much are you going to wager, player one? Okay, here is the clue. Sometimes caused by tooth grinding, the disorder known by these three letters can lead to a clicking jaw. No, that's not right. Here's what we wanted. TMJ. We return to you, player one. Retronyms were created by putting this word before coffee and gasoline. Player one? Good. Please pick again, player one. As opposed to digital, it's the kind of watch with a face and hands. Let's hear it, player one. That is correct. Choose again, player one. Merriam-Webster's example of a retronym is console this. Here's the correct response. Television. You get to pick again, player one. Frank Mankiewicz, the coiner of the word retronym, says one of his favorites is two-parent this. The correct response is family. You again, player one. The Washington Post called Live This a classic retronym. Yes, player one. Here's what we were looking for. Drama. Player 1, pick again. First aired on September 30th, 1963, Opie the Birdman has become a classic episode of this sitcom. It's Player 1. Hey, you're right. Player 1, back to you. The never-used lyrics of its theme song were written by Gene Roddenberry. Here's the response we were looking for. Star Trek. Choose again, Player 1. On The Addams Family, Ted Cassidy played not only Lurch, but this disembodied hand as well. Here's the correct response. Thing. Player 1, you pick again, please. On August 29th, 1967, he finally caught up with the one-armed man. Here's the correct response. Richard Kimball. Player 1, back to you.
Yeah!
Answer? The second Daily Double. You are currently in the lead. Please select your wager, Player 1. And the clue. In 1964, Mary Tyler Moore won her first Emmy as this new Rochelle housewife. No. We're talking about Laura Petrie. You again, Player 1. U.S. Military Academy, class of 1915. Okay, Player 1. Yes. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. U.S. Naval Academy, class of 1946. Player 1. No, sorry. Here's what we wanted. Jimmy Carter. We return to you, Player 1. Georgetown, class of 1968. We're talking about Bill Clinton. You get to pick again, Player 1. Harvard University, class of 1904. It's Player 1. That's correct. Player 1, pick again. Eureka College, class of 1932. Here's what we were looking for. Ronald Reagan. Select again. Check out the Key of Karakoy in this city, known as Constantinople during the Byzantine Empire. Here's the correct response. Istanbul. Please pick again, Player 1. Government building on Lambton Quay in this New Zealand capital is one of the world's largest wooden buildings. Here's what we wanted. Wellington. You get to pick again, Player 1. A large stone quay built by the French in 1780 is still used in Port-au-Prince, its capital. Here's the response we were looking for. Haiti. Choose again, Player 1. We wonder whether a steamroller was used to form the many quays of this German city chartered in 1607. Here's the correct response. Mannheim. Player 1, you pick again, please. Circular Quay is a hub of transportation and tourism in this city. The correct response is Sydney. We return to you, Player 1. There's something in his soul o'er which his melancholy sits on brood is said of this title character. Okay, Player 1. Yep. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. Friar John gets quarantined, so he never delivers that really important letter that this friar wrote to Romeo. Yes, Player 1.
Yeah!
That's correct. Please pick again, player 1. She's in Troy when she tells Pandarus, "Go hang yourself, you naughty mocking uncle." Here's the correct response. Cressida. You again, player 1. This man boasts, "He that knows better how to tame a shrew, now let him speak." Let's hear it, player 1. Sorry, that's wrong. We're talking about Petruchio. And the last clue for $2,000. The appropriately named Servilius is a servant to this title guy of Athens. Here's what we wanted. Timon. I'll see you for Final Jeopardy in just a moment. This is the Final Jeopardy category for today. The 50 states. So, what's your wager? Each direction on the plus control pad represents a different response. Press a direction to select an answer. Let's see what it is. Here's the clue. It was the only state physically and politically formed directly because of the Civil War. Your response? And that will lose you. Here's the response we were looking for. West Virginia. You've come out ahead as our champion, player 1. So long, everybody.